Thank you very much, Jeff. Well, this presentation, the title is Keeping Europe Moving. And in fact, what I'm going to present to you now is what has been the activity developed by the European Road Federation regarding road asset management and the process and all the activities that we have done with our working group on road asset management. But first of all, I would like to show the global picture and especially the importance of transport in Europe. And the first quotes that you will see here, they are just sentences coming from the European Commission. So transport in general, they really state that it's a major support to our socio-economic model. It's a driver for economic growth and for job creation, as it fosters mobility, trade, and exchange. And within this global transport framework, I think that we really need to underline the essential role of road in terms of provider of accessibility, mobility, and economic development. And we used to say that roads, in fact, are the backbone of our economy. If we now look at what the road sector represents in Europe, some facts and figures, like what are we talking about when we talk about the road network? European road network is between 5 and 5.5 million kilometers, just to compare. France, which is a big part of this network, represents 2 million kilometers. If we look at the economic contribution of the road sector to the EU economy, in terms of direct employment, we are talking about 5 million jobs, or some 5% of the EU GDP. And if we consider the indirect, so other jobs which are not directly connected but linked to the road sector, we get to a total of 14 million jobs, or some 11% of the EU GDP. And I will have the opportunity to come back later about this estimation. Estimated reconstruction value of 8,000 billion or 8 trillion euro. And I'm quite glad that I heard this morning this figure quoted by Mike Kramer. If we look at the road sector and what the road network carries, in terms of inland passenger transport, it means 83.2% of the EU inland transport for passengers is carried by roads. And if we look at freight, we are talking about almost 72% of the EU inland transport. And if we also look at the forecast for the years to come, we can see that both for passenger transport or freight transport, these purple-blue areas, that are the area where the evolution of transport is the highest one, and this is going to be the forecast of evolution of transport by road. Now, we see that a huge part of the transport in Europe is carried on the road, and the evolution in the future is going to be for growing. But now, if we want this transport, this road network, to be capable of coping with the current traffic and the traffic to come in the years in the future, we really need to focus on how can we finance the road infrastructure so that it can cope with this evolution. And now if we look at the current framework for investing in transport, just again, here we are going to consider all modes of transport, and the investment in the transport infrastructure, generally speaking, has never been as low now than in the 70s. So in the 70s, the global investment in transport infrastructure represented some 1.5% of the GDP. And from 2000 to 2008, the average level went down to 0.8%. And you see the final date, 2008, which was the beginning of the economic crisis. The trend is keeping on. So what about now? And more specifically, what about tomorrow? And we know that investing in transport infrastructure, and especially in roads, has a very positive returns. We had some examples here of ratio, but I would like just to quote an example that I heard recently in the Fourth Road Congress of Bosnia in Sarajevo last September, where a representative of the Ministry of Transport said every euro that we invest in roads has a minimum of €3 back profit for the society. Now, we know that we talk mainly, we are not so much focusing on the construction. In our Western European countries, we have a mature road network, and even if there are still some little pieces to achieve, for the rest, we have almost completed the road network, but we need to think about the maintenance. And in this framework, where the general level of investment for transport is low and lower than ever,